As bustling cities sink into the soft embrace of night, neon signs cast hollow glows across dark streets. Long ago, an extraordinary sight unfolded quietly inside a crowded shopping mall. At the mall center, ringed by fast food outlets and toy stores, behind towering cold glass partitions, sat a massive western lowland gorilla built to rule Africa's wild jungles. Instead of clutching branches or letting out feral roars fit for a wild beast, he held a vivid paintbrush with careful, concentrated focus. His name is Ivan, a legendary creature confined to a concrete cell for 27 long years, who shook the whole world with his artwork. Tonight, beside the gentle flicker of hearth flames, let us follow this unhurried story into the true course of his life. Trapped beneath constant curious human stares driven by commercial greed, he wove away loneliness and rebuilt freedom one splash of pigment at a time with his fingertips. By daylight, visitors press up against the glass with ice cream in hand, pointing and praising his docile charm, using him as a crowd-drawing commercial ornament. Yet few pause after closing hours, when the mall falls silent, to understand the sprawling sorrow-laden ancient forests he paints across canvas with paint-stained knuckles. Destiny's irreversible turning point always arrives amid ordinary decades twisted tight for corporate profit. When young Ivan was first locked inside the enclosed exhibition hall of BNI Shopping Mall, every trace of nature vanished entirely from his world. No rustling wind drifting through treetops, no soft yielding earth to sink his paws into, only harsh glaring fluorescent lamps and unyielding concrete walls surrounded him. For a prime-aged silverback born to run free across muddy wilderness, such total confinement would normally ignite raging panic and destructive frenzy. But Ivan's emotional journey followed an exceptionally reserved path rarely seen among primates, baffling countless animal behavior experts. In his earliest captive days, he watched mall staff haul boxes of goods past a narrow barred window and listened to shrill electronic noise drifting from nearby arcade machines. This prolonged spiritual emptiness and cruel confinement shifted forever when a kind keeper tossed blank paper and a set of children's watercolors into his cell by chance. Seated alone in the center of his empty cage, Ivan prodded the bright slender sticks with slow, confused hesitation. He dipped one fingertip into cool blue pigment and dragged it lightly across white paper, that single vivid slash of blue cut through more than a decade of unbroken grayness in his confined existence. It marked the first awakening of his self-awareness. Unable to break through shatterproof glass with his body, his spirit could stretch endlessly across distance riding the flow of color. Over passing years, this quiet creative practice became Ivan's invisible weapon against his cold captive reality. Back in the 1970s and 1980s, America held minimal legal standards for wildlife welfare, and legally Ivan counted merely as his mall owner's private property. Every day crowds swarmed his enclosure, rapping hard against glass to coax him into roars for their amusement. Caught in an era distorted by commercial gain and visitor demand, Ivan bore himself with the dignified restraint of a wise elder. When noisy children outside grew loudest, he would turn his broad mountain-like back fully toward the glass to block out all surrounding commotion. Cross-legged on bare concrete, he spread paper flat and gripped brushes between bulky fingers, channeling all his inner focus down to the fine tip. Each stroke fell slowly, paused in thoughtful contemplation as he sketched fragmented memories buried deep in his soul. To outside eyes his works appeared as random tangled lines and uneven color blocks, thick swathes of emerald green, endless stretches of deep cerulean blue. Only those closest to him understood the green represented the African rainforest woven into his blood yet never touched by his feet, and the blue stood for boundless freedom beyond the unreachable sky above wire fencing. Through his calm dedicated painting, he built a sacred private realm amid the noisy shopping center, carrying out the most dignified silent resistance against his unjust fate. Still, misunderstanding and exploitation never faded despite his gentle temperament. Mall operators quickly spotted massive profit potential hidden within his artwork. They hauled pieces he painted alone late at night to auction publicly at mall entrances, marketing the clean-living painting gorilla as an eye-catching celebrity gimmick. This fresh exploitation for money and profit tore further at Ivan's spirit, caught between primal gorilla instinct and restrictive human rules. He spent most of his life separated from his own kind, never building a troop or raising offspring, his only lifelong companions paintbrushes and paint-smeared canvases. 27 years of crushing isolation and absent kinship hollowed yet clarified the look in his eyes. It was not until the early 1990s that widespread grassroots protests by animal advocates and local citizens shattered the mall's profit-driven hold over him overnight. Moved by the sorrow in his gaze and soulful paintings, hundreds of thousands mailed petitions to government officials demanding Ivan's lawful release. Pushed forward by public outcry and shifting social values, the shopping center finally conceded, granting Ivan justice and redemption 27 years overdue. In autumn of 1994, as he was settled into a custom transport crate bound for Atlanta Zoo, Ivan lingered with a long solemn stare toward the mall display window that had framed half his life. Leaving behind familiar human caretakers was painful, yet ahead waited warm soft soil his paws could sink into for the very first time. Life after relocation to Atlanta Zoo offered gentle healing, making up for all the losses of his earlier years as Ivan grew old. Stepping onto spacious sun-dappled grassy open habitat for the first time, unfiltered sunlight spilled across the silver-flecked fur along his spine. Here he met other female gorillas, learning to beat his chest to assert leadership and rumble soft comforting calls to calm troop mates. Even in his declining elder years he never abandoned his passion. Whenever keepers brought art supplies, he settled beneath leafy shade and slipped back into the peaceful focused state that hushed the whole world around him. His brushwork softened and grew restrained, shedding the stifled tension forged inside mall confinement for ethereal peace rooted in nature. He began pressing pigment-coated palms directly onto canvas to leave heavy powerful black handprints. No longer ordinary artwork, each mark stood as a sacred unyielding seal of his dignity, left for a world that once imprisoned then finally welcomed him home. Surrounded by rustling trees, soft wind, and the calls of fellow gorillas, he united his lifelong wild yearning with the tangible freedom beneath his feet. Ivan became a living Atlanta legend, teaching every human visitor the noble resilience a living creature can retain through deepest hardship with his quiet perseverance and gentle spirit. In summer 2012, the legendary gorilla Ivan slipped peacefully away in his sleep, concluding his extraordinary 50-year life journey. His passing was painless and serene, like sunset fading gently into woodland shadows for a noble final curtain call. His auctioned paintings still hang quietly in museums worldwide, and his life inspired a beloved feature film soothing countless troubled hearts. He answers the core question posed in the opening: paintbrushes were never mere toys to entertain humans, but windows he carved himself into real African wilderness amid cold concrete confinement and imperfect fate. The bustle of shopping crowds, frigid glass barriers and flashing visitor spotlights have all washed away with the passage of time. Yet on quiet nights, remembering the gorilla who defeated 27 years of crushing isolation through steady focused artwork brings profound peace to restless insomniac minds. It embodies life's inherent fortitude and quiet dignity, soft, measured and brimming with calming power to ease frayed nerves. The hearth fire dwindles low, distant cities dissolve into boundless silence and every living thing drifts toward deep restful sleep. The tale ends, and the lifelong painter likely rests clean-handed beneath star-draped forest canopies in his dreams. May you carry Ivan's calm purity as you close your eyes, set aside all worry and drift into sweet rest. Good night.